Hello and welcome back to the GB Fantasy Football channel. In today's video, we're going to be looking at those players to target, how the fixtures and potential price swings are going to guide our transfers ahead of the game week 2 deadline. Now, we are closing in rapidly on the channel for 1,000 subscribers. I think we're only about 10 away at time of recording this video. Thank you very much for the support on the channel. If you could, please do go ahead and smack that subscribe button. I think 80% of you currently viewing these videos are unsubscribed. So go ahead, hit the button, plenty more content to come and you won't miss a thing. If you do enjoy today's video, hit the thumbs up button. You won't miss a video in the future, and hit that bell icon as well. It'll drop in your sub boxes. You won't be missing out on the content and everything will be flowing as normal. Now without further ado, let's crack on with the video. Now, as mentioned in the video, we are only about 10 subscribers away from the channel hitting 1,000, and I'd like to go into a bit more detail and just thank you very much ahead of what could potentially be a massive milestone on the channel. I started this channel about, I think, 4 or so months ago, and I did not expect these kind of responses, the positive feedback across all sorts of the format that I post. So thank you very much for that. It's greatly appreciated. Leave a comment down below on what the first video that you saw from me was and how you caught the channel, how you saw the channel, or how you was brought to the channel. It'd be intriguing to see what actually got you over here towards the content. Hopefully you're staying around for the foreseeable future, because trust me, there's a lot more great stuff to come, starting with today's video. Now we'll start up, as you can see from the graphic on the screen. Actually, before I go any further, the league code just below me, go ahead and join. We're nearly at 300 in the league so far. A lot of you, great scores on the game week 1. I think I'm about mid of the pack, about 100 or so. So there's 90 to 100 of you currently above me in the league. You're doing incredibly well. Let's see what game week 2 brings. Now, as you can see from the graphic on the screen, we will be targeting and looking at first the fixtures over the next 3 to 4 game weeks across the board. Now, all the graphics in today's video will be part of not only FPL website, fantastic website, it's not an ad. The link will be in description, as it is in pretty much all of my Sun Dream Team videos. Go check it out. Fantastic website, all the data you'll need for analytics and to see who you might pick ahead of a 50-50 decision. Hop over there, see what they've got to offer. Fantastic website all around. Now the fixtures. Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, Newcastle, Chelsea, and Tottenham. Of course, European teams, Champions League teams to be specific, who will double in game week 4. We also got a few more European teams such as Aston Villa, there, Crystal Palace, and Nottingham Forest making up the other 3 teams for Conference League and Europa League across the board. Some interesting options going ahead. Of course, as you can see, Liverpool being quite high up on the fixture ticker, Manchester City, Arsenal surprisingly being that high up, but with the doubles inbound, that will be why. And of course, not to discount the teams that are currently doubling in the game week 2, which are the teams that don't play in Europe in game week 4. So you've got teams such as Brighton, West Ham, Fulham, Brentford, Wolves, Everton, Bournemouth, Leeds, Burnley, Sunderland, and Manchester United. If any of these teams win in that second round of the Carabao Cup fixture, they will have a double in game week 4 that consists of the third round Carabao Cup fixture. So that is one to note. So if you're trying to get these players out in hopes of getting potentially another European doubler, if your player from game week 2 wins in the Carabao Cup fixture, they will indeed double in game week 4. So the harder the fixture, the more likely they are to play in that game, and their manager is to pick them in that fixture. So this week we've got several doubling teams at least. Man United playing Grimsby being a standout fixture. Will the big hitters play in that one? Will players like Bruno Fernandes, Matheus Cunha, or Brian Mbeumo play in that with a Fulham away fixture to complete that double? I'm not too sure, but I think a few of you might be going there. I've seen a few Dorgus currently brought into the fold, so that's one to look out for. Brighton away to Everton, Dublin with a home fixture away, well, at home to Oxford. West Ham at home to Chelsea and away to Wolves. One of 4 teams on this list today. 2 Premier League all double ties in the Carabao Cup fixtures. I think they will go strong in that one. Graham Potter, I think his job might be on the line, which is a tough call already this season, but with how they performed away to Sunderland on the opening day, there's a lot riding on this game. And if they do pick up a negative fixture at home to Chelsea, I think that West Ham team will be strong in the Carabao Cup fixture. Fulham at home to United and at home to Brighton. Is that Brighton? I think that's Bristol, in fact. So a couple of home ties for them. Not too many good assets currently. They didn't look too great at home to, well, away to Brighton at the weekend. Brentford at home to Villa and away to Bournemouth, one of the other Dublin ties in game week 2. Brentford defensively looked shambolic, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. Wolves, Bournemouth and West Ham, one of the other four teams, Dublin in game week 2. Everton playing Brighton and Mansfield. Now, Everton's defensive options are currently slim on the ground. I think Mykolenko was carrying an injury, so he didn't play away to Leeds on Monday night. And also Asnu, a recent signing from Bayern Munich, wasn't even in the squad. So with also Branthwaite out injured, potentially a few of those big hitters for Everton could play in that Mansfield tie in the Carabao Cup, which as a O'Brien owner, I'd very much like to see that. Bournemouth with Wolves at home and Brentford at home, so 2 home fixtures this week. A lot of you are currently targeting a certain midfielder who we'll get onto in a little while. Leeds with Arsenal away and Sheffield United at home. Burnley with Sunderland at home and Derby at home, I believe that is. So a double home tie for Burnley, and Sunderland with Burnley away and Huddersfield at home. A lot of these assets for Sunderland, of course, doing really well in the first game week against West Ham. So in line for a lot of price rises. But once again, all the price rises, increases and decreases we'll get to later on in the video. So who from that list and that fixture list has caught your eye? Personally, the Premier League ties. In the Carabao Cup game week 2, you want to target teams that are more likely to play their teams than not. So a team like Man United, Grimsby at home, it looks a plum fixture, but will the players actually be playing in that one? I'm not too sure. Whereas the Premier League ties, certainly for teams like West Ham, I think they're going to play. So the segments in this video are comparing potentially going for the best fixtures in game week 2, potentially planning for the long haul as well, maybe game week 3, game week 4, even game week 5, and chasing those all important price rises. Now we need to build the budget as fast as possible, but are we sacrificing better fixtures in hope of getting those 0.2, 0.3 rises along the way? Now we're trying to get to 102, 103 million by potentially game week, what I'd say 4 or 5. But are we missing out points along the way? Now, last season in game week 1, leading into game week 2, I actually rolled a transfer. And of course, the transfers were different last season. If you rolled it in the first week going into the second week, you actually lost a transfer. So instead of 4 over 2 weeks, I ended up with 3. This year, it is a lot different, and it is allowing us to play the game in a different manner, and it branches people's play styles out, which I actually quite enjoy. So a few of you might actually be looking at this game week 2 thinking you've already built your game week 1 draft for weeks and months ahead of the game being launched. Why not hold back? Why not keep your doublers for this week even though they're dropping in price, and attack the game week 4 European fixtures and potentially the Carabao Cup second round teams that actually go on to win their fixture? Now, as you can see from the graphic on the screen, I will start off with the potential highest decreases in value. I'll go on to the rising prices in the next segment. So first up, Cole Palmer. 0.3 decrease more than likely, only 2 points, and started off with that 6 million price bracket. Offers a big dilemma for those of you who went for him, myself included. But when you look at the Chelsea fixtures, they had West Ham away, Fulham at home, Brentford away, and obviously in that Brentford game week 4 tie, there will be a Champions League fixture as well. So the Chelsea fixtures are looking good. Do you just swallow that 0.3 decrease? It's certainly something to think about. Other ones of notoriety, Kai Havertz, Lewis Skelly, Jurrien Timber for Arsenal, all coming off the bench. Of course, if you play more than 10 minutes in a fixture, you are susceptible to the decreases in the game. So they all came off the bench, didn't pick up many points. And in the case of Skelly and Timber, who on a given week could be the starting fullbacks for Arsenal ahead of Calafiori and Ben White, I think they're one to note for in the future. Collins and Henry at Brentford. You then got the entire Burnley defence. Of course, they shipped 3 goals away to Tottenham. Will you be really going for Burnley despite them having a double home fixture this week? Maybe a few of you out there might risk it. Personally, I won't go there. You've then got United fringe defenders, so I classify that as a Diego Dallo, who went off before the 60th minute. Harry Maguire came on the pitch for Lenny Yoro, I believe, or it was Luke Shaw, so he's going to get a big decrease in value. Dominic Solanke, definitely one to keep an eye on. Started at 5 million in price, came off the bench for Richarlison. He's in line for a 0.3 decrease according to the predictions, and the closer he gets to that 4.5 million range, which I actually think he was last season, the more likely he is to be in our teams coming into that European double game week. When he's fit, he will be the starting lineup centre forward for that Thomas Frank team. Tottenham's fixtures: City away, Bournemouth at home, West Ham away in the double with the Champions League fixture. Of course, the Champions League and Europa League and Conference League are still yet to be drawn, so depending on how easy those fixtures are, that might sway the decision making. But potentially Dominic Solanke could be coming in at 4.7 ahead of game week 3. Then got Morgan Rogers, another notable one from Aston Villa, in line for a 0.2 decrease. Didn't have the best start last week, of course, being bumped up from 3 million to 5.5 million this season. A very high price range for a player who offers a lot of avenues to points, but isn't always on the score sheet, so it's one to look out for. And the entire West Ham defence pretty much conceding 3 away to Sunderland. Someone like a Diouf, who I do indeed have, offers a lot of dilemma now. He looked very good attacking wise, had 1 cleared off the line, and with a double game week this week, with some favourable fixtures, but nothing too major. Chelsea at home and Wolves away. I think he will play both. Potentially, Kyle Walker-Peters could be drafted in that left wing-back role, but I'd say he does actually play both. Do you sacrifice a 0.2 or 0.3 decrease this week to maybe get a high potential doubler in game week 2? I'm severely weighing up the options, I can't lie. I've got a lot of defensive headaches going into game week 2. Obviously, the Cole Palmer 0.3 decrease as well really doesn't help things out at all. And the more positive note of the price swings this week, the 0.2s, the 0.1s, the 0.3 rises ahead of game week 2, where they've had a successful game week 1. Now, Chris Wood scored 2 goals, big points haul, started off at 4 million, someone who I did have in my first draft several weeks back. I think he's in line for a 0.3 rise. But with Forest signing a brand new centre forward, I won't even begin to pronounce his name. But they have indeed signed one, trust me on that. They've also got Igor Jesus, another attacking option who can play up front, who was potentially drafted in as a centre forward and a striker with the Europa League campaign in mind. So someone to take minutes off Chris Wood. Semenyo, a lot of people's flavour of the week this week, 0.3 rise, potentially coming in. Couple of goals away to Liverpool, and Bournemouth's fixtures going forward do indeed look good. Igor Thiago, the Brentford centre forward, got the penalty goal away to Forest. Didn't look too great, Brentford as a whole, defensively, attacking wise. Fairly lucky penalty. Would you expect that every week? Not so much, but as a budget enabler, he is very much there. Leeds defence kept a clean sheet at home to Everton on Monday night. They look good defensively, or did Everton just look poor offensively? I think it's more the latter than the former. Goodmanson, standout performer in the left-back role. I think he picked up 3 bonus points, very close to that 5 bonus points threshold. Pretty much all of them in line for a price increase of either 0.2 or 0.3 because they were such budget enablers at the start. Ekatike picking up a lot of points, a goal and an assist in the opening fixture. Those of you who plumped for him and didn't go for Salah, you very much looked out this week in the best ways possible. And I think he will actually be a fantastic asset going forward. depending on a certain Swedish centre forward from Newcastle, that is. Of course, he's just released a statement at the time of recording this, stating his lack of wanting to play for Newcastle again, basically, and it doesn't look too good on that front for him playing for Newcastle again, which means he's either going to rot on the bench at St James's Park or he's going to head over to Anfield and start up front. So Ekitike, despite his very good performance in the opening week, I wouldn't be going there personally, just in case. Perhaps saw in Tottenham's midfield a £3 million enabler. I think he picked up 8 points this week. Of course, they've got City away in game week 2. But with the European fixtures looming, can he find a place in that midfield, or is he just keeping the spot available for a certain Eberici Eze, who looks very much like he is going to be signing for Tottenham Hotspur? Unfortunately, as an Arsenal fan, it pains me to see him do that because he's a fantastic player and he will do lots of good stuff over at Tottenham. So Papsar, maybe one for the now, not so much one for the future. And the Villa defence, you could also categorise the Newcastle defence in this one as well. Both playing out a 0-0 draw, both in European competitions, Newcastle in the Champions League, Villa in the Europa League, so you're more likely to get a favourable, more likely playing defender from Newcastle than you are Villa. I'm expecting rotation when it comes to the Europa League, especially with Emery's record in that competition. So all them assets in general, you're going to get either 0.2, 0.3 rises, but do you sacrifice the better fixtures coming up for a player who's just rising in price overall? Are we that desperate to build the budget? I think it's one of them where we're going to have to weigh up, keep our squad strong, maybe even keep transfers back. Difficult to say, apparently. Maybe even keep transfers back. So many different ways that we can play going into game week 2. Leave your comments down below on what your thoughts are with your squads going into this deadline. Don't forget it is a Friday deadline as well. West Ham Chelsea opening up the fixtures this week. Don't be caught out by the early deadline. And that does indeed conclude today's video. Now, pulling this data together, seeing who's increasing in price, decreasing in price, the fixtures over the coming weeks, I'd like to say it's been helpful for me, but it's added way more questions into my basket of unknowns so far. Leading into game week 2, I've got lots of fires to put out in my team. I started okay points wise, but I'm sure there's similar to you lot watching this video. There's lots of questions, lots of uncertainty, but potentially lots of answers. Hopefully a few of them have been found in this video. As I said, leave your comments down below on how your week has gone so far and what your thoughts are going into game week 2. If you've got any questions, leave them down below. I tend to respond to pretty much every comment. If I do miss them, I do apologise. But that is it for today's video. Go check out my socials in the description below. We've got Instagram, we've got TikTok, we've got X, we've got the Sun Dream Team League code down there as well in case you missed it at the start of the video. But thank you very much for watching. We're closing in on 1,000 subscribers. Perhaps by the time this goes out, we've already reached it. But don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Hit a thumbs up if you've enjoyed today's video. And keep the bell notification on so it drops into your sub boxes and you won't miss a thing. So thank you very much for watching, and you'll be seeing me in a new video very soon.